Hello everybody and welcome along to the Porsche Carrera Cup North America presented by Visit the Cayman Islands. John Hindhaugh and Jeremy Shaw in the Haggerty Global Broadcast Centre on a beautiful day at Watkins Glen in the National Finger Lakes, New York. Great to have your company for what has already been a phenomenal season. We really have been very fortunate indeed to see some brilliant racing this year already. This is old school. 3.5 miles or thereabouts, 11 corners, and the great thing about them is they have names. You know there's history when you can...
In the Pro-Am category, row 7 of the grid, and one of the Pro cars, Sebastian Carrazzo in car number 27, and the pole sitter and runaway championship leader in the Pro-Am category in the 992 class, in the iFly Kelly Moss racing car in car number 99 is Alan Metney. On now, all of the top 12 cars of the grid are Pro contenders. Car number 88 is Hutton McKenna, alongside him Ryan Gates in car number 11. Row 5, Eric Johansson from Sweden in car number 14, alongside Sean McAllister in car number 2. Row 4 on the grid, Dylan Murray in car number 38, alongside the Canadian Parker Thompson in car number 9. Row 3, Lee Keane in car number 12, alongside Riley Dickinson in car number 53. Row 2, his best qualifying to date by far, in car number 58 for Topp Racing is TJ Fischer, alongside him the championship leader. Third on the grid in car number 3, the Kelly Moss Road Race is Kai van Berlo from the Netherlands. Onto the front row of the grid, the championship leader, Seb Prio, in the second of the Kelly Moss Road Race cars in car number 15, will start second, but on the pole position, after a difficult beginning to the championship, is for the Moorespeed-Wright Motorsports team, car number 7 from California. The pole sitter is Maxwell.
Phenomenal qualifying performance from Maxwell Root with young Seb Prio, who leads the championship, right alongside him. Spoke to Seb on Wednesday on Midweek Motorsport over on RS1, and he was looking back at very much looking forward to getting back to work, I suppose, Jeremy, because the guys have had quite a long break since the last time we saw them.
It seems that way, doesn't it? The last couple of races were at Circuit Americas back at the beginning of May. Yes, almost 2 months off for these teams, and most of them have been here to do some testing at Watkins Glen. What a great racetrack this is. But there's a new tyre that they're running this weekend, a new rear tyre in particular for these 992 cars. So the teams have got to get their heads around the fact that there's a little bit different construction and compound than the previous tyres. So we're going to have to watch out to see how that has any effect perhaps during this 45-minute race.
So it is 45 minutes on the clock. This is a long, fast circuit. These are big, meaty, powerful sports cars, almost as quick as the GT3s we'll see later on in the weekend. Yes, the GT3s, not the GT4s. The new 992 Porsche 911, and the green flag is in the air, and it's a good start from Max Root, who leads away with Prior trying to go down the inside, tricky downhill braking area into turn one, but everyone, he pauses for effect, has got through turn one, heading through the uphill S's now. Fabulous start by the Moorespeed-Wright Motorsport driver, Maxwell Root. He's got a brilliant jump, Jeremy Shaw.
He certainly has. That was a great effort by him. It was a real struggle at the start of the season. That deal put together very, very late. New colours on the car this weekend. And Maxwell Root, he finished second in the older GT3 Cup Championship in IMSA a couple of years ago, and making his mark now in the lead. But did you notice how respectful they all were at turn one there? No running out wide. The race director, Randy Parker, has been very strict with the drivers this weekend in terms of the track limits. They're not allowed to stray outside that curve. It's a good turn one, but there's several other parts on this racetrack as well. That was a really nice, clean start.
So Max Root has got part of the job done. Seb Prior has got Kai van Berlo, sort of his teammate. They come from the same team. They are run by the same Kelly Moss Road and Race organisation, but of course they're not teammates. They are fighting it out in the junior category. All top of the top three are Porsche juniors this year. First time we've had a full-fat junior program in the United States, and the best of the juniors, who were all, if you're under the age limit, everybody automatically entered into that, and the best of them will be going to Europe for the shootout at the end of this 2021 season, with entrants from the rest of the Porsche Carrera Cups around the world, and that could be the start of, well, quite honestly, Jeremy, a career-defining moment that could be for one of the juniors from the North American Carrera Cup Championship presented by Visit the Cayman Islands.
Very much so. It's a tremendous opportunity potentially for these young drivers. Anybody under the age of 24 is eligible to be part of this Porsche Junior program, and to become a Porsche factory driver is that is the dream for any sports car racing.
Further back down the field, decent battles as ever going on, and the Wright Motorsports number 88 just dropping away from the pro class. Should mention there are three different categories. Hutton McKenna is at the back of the pro field for the new Type 992s. We've then got a Pro-Am for the Type 992s, and then there's a Pro-Am for the previous version of the Porsche Carrera Cup cars, which is the, yeah, you guessed it, the 991 category. And that at the moment in 18th position has been led by Matt Holcomb, the man from Georgia, for the Goldcrest Motorsport team. He's down in 18th position. They've got the red shade bands and mirrors on those cars. Just further back down the field, but having their own bottle, and that is a championship within the championship. TJ Fischer for Topp Racing, 4th position at the moment, with Riley Dickinson right in behind him. Then Lee Keane for 311 RS Motorsport. That's the silver and red car coming through the final corner. Then the red, white and grey car. Then the bright red car is Lee Keane. Then it's Dylan Murray for BGB Motorsports as they go across the line and down towards turn one for another lap. But at the front of the field, Jeremy, got to say, Maxwell Root, he's pulled out half a second lead. That's good. He's now got the, I would say, well, he's just been caught a little bit that lap round, but he's got it now just to control this from the front. Can't take too much out of his Michelin tyres early on.
Well, that's exactly right. We've seen during the practice and particularly qualifying here that the edge goes off these Michelin tyres very early in the stint for 2 or 3 laps at their absolutely ultimate best, and then they drop off a fair bit. Then they're super consistent after that, but the key here is to look after your tyres. They have, each of the drivers has 3 sets of tyres to use from the beginning of qualifying. They can use them however they like after that. There's one 30-minute qualifying session, but that that single session determines the grid for both races. The fastest lap of all determines the grid for this race. Their second fastest lap from that session determines their grid position for tomorrow's race. What's interesting about that is the fact some of the teams used both of their sets of tyres. Most of the teams, I believe, used both of their sets of tyres in qualifying, but they only did 3 or maybe 4 laps in each of those sessions. That means all the drivers top drivers have one new set of tyres to use either for today's race or tomorrow. We don't know who's running them right now, but it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this tyre strategy plans out. But fastest lap, by the way, was the fastest lap around on that last time was Berlo in 3rd position, 149.148. To put things into perspective, the old GT3 lap record around here in race conditions was 150.783, so already a second and a half inside of that. These cars are fast.
It's a lot of changes because it's a brand new platform. The most obvious ones visually, look at the rear wing. That is now the swan neck mounted rear aerofoil, much more efficient. That's basically lifted straight from the Le Mans car itself, and the whole body shell is different. It's a wide body, of course, being the race car. In fact, all of the Type 992s now are what Porsche would call wide bodies. Twin wishbone, double wishbone suspension at the front, a wider track. That's come from the road car as well. And although these are still running on 18-inch Michelin racing tyres, the street cars have 20 and 21-inch tyres. The first time for a street car as standard that Porsche have turned out in 911 with 2 different tyre diameters on the new cars. And basically, if you can manage to get a build slot for them, and you have to be exceptionally well connected with a Porsche centre somewhere in the world, and probably have bought many Porsches from them. If you buy a GT3 street car, you are effectively buying this race car. It is pretty much identical in terms of its engineering, with the 4-litre normally aspirated engine. It is an extraordinary piece of engineering, and there have been very quick.
Is that Priaulx in the pits?
Yes, Seb Priaulx in the pits, and that is changing lanes prior to the start of the race. Do you know, I saw that and I thought to myself, I wonder if he's going to get pinged for that. The race control at IMSA started off at Sebring. I seem to remember in the main race we had someone pinged for that, and the Channel Islander then giving up a huge amount of real estate and potential championship. So you must stay side by side until you cross the start line. So the green flag goes, and Priaulx immediately went in behind the pole sitter. Guilty as charged, my lad. I'll take the penalty, and he has done. It was Jan Helen, ironically, in another Porsche, who was pinged at Sebring in the 12 hours for that. So that is a harsh lesson, but a one that is clearly written in the sporting regulations, Jeremy.
Yes, indeed it is, and Priaulx there, he was trying to tuck in behind the race leader and therefore prevent the second row driver from making a run down to the first corner. So that's why that rule was instituted, and it has been upheld there. And you really can't argue against that. It would be very disappointing, of course, for Seb Priaulx, the championship leader coming into this weekend with 97 points to the 90 of Cayman Berlo. So this will be a big hit for him. He's come back out onto the track way down the order, of course.
That is going to be a harsh lesson to learn. But now we get the benefit of a comeback drive from Sebastian. Let's just remind you who's leading in the other classes. It is Efren Castro for Team Hardpoint EBM, now in 13th position. He's got ahead of Alan Metney in the Pro-Am category for the 992s. Matt Holcomb still leads in the 991s. That's how it stands at the moment. And we've still got 35 minutes to go, Jeremy, so we've barely scratched the surface of this one. And look at the lap times, 49.0 for Cayman Berlo. I'm going to keep an eye on that time and remember that for later in the weekend when we're looking at the GT3 and the GT4 versions of Porsches that'll be going around, because I have got a strong suspicion, Mr. Shaw, that is going to look very competitive indeed.
Yeah, I'll have a look at the lap records when I get a chance for GTD. But you're right. It's going to be very, very interesting to see that. And these cars are super impressive. The old qualifying lap record for the GT3 Cup was set by Roman DeAngelis back in 2019 at 149.895. Pole position for this race at 147.446. So yeah, really, really quick. 2.5 seconds faster. And good consistency in these early stages too for our race leader Max Root. 149.4, he's turning consistent 149 3s and 4s in the early stages still of this race.
Pro-Am battle with the number 65, Efren Castro, 40s wheel. That's a new and very, very pleasant colour scheme that he's got on that car, with the bright orange, or highlighted yellow rather, on one side, the dark grey, and switched on the other with, well, that one's going to be easy to spot in the car park, isn't it, basically? Right in behind.
Good job.
Sorry, Joe, go ahead.
Just right ahead of Alan Metney, who's been unbeaten in the Pro-Am class this season. Efren Castro, who leads Pro-Am in that yellow and grey car. It's sort of charcoal car, isn't it? He has he's led the class on several occasions, including one of the races he led until the last lap when Alan Metney managed to squeak past him. So he's still looking for his first win in the class this season. Efren Castro has 3 second-place finishes to Alan Metney, but he's made a good start and actually extended his lead a little bit on that last lap. There's got to be now sort of 6 or 8 car lengths between that number 65 and number 99 Porsches.
It's Jeremy Shaw and John Hindhoff. Good to have your company wherever you are in the world. The iFly car is GT Silver. That is the base colour for the Porsche Carrera Cup in the 992 category, down through the years, of course. And we're so fortunate now that we have such great liveries down through the years. Jeremy and I have watched an awful lot of Porsche Cup racing from various parts of the world, and they used to just supply them in what was just basically Carrera white, which was just flat white, and in the days before, vinyl and clever paints and film, a lot of them just turned out in white. I'm trying to decide which one was leading at any one time when they were swarming around like wasps, very powerful wasps. Was very difficult indeed. This, as I say, this particular version, standard colour is GT Silver, which you can get on your Porsche 911 if you want to.
And there has been a change, John, in 991. Jeff Myshak has managed to find his way past his Gold Coast Motorsports teammate Matt Halcombe. So it's now number 29 of Jeff Myshak, who leads in 991, 18th position overall, with Matt Halcombe fell back a little bit on that last lap. He's in second place, and they're both ahead of the Kurt Swearingen Goldcrest car, who's running in the 991 category. Both of them, however, have just been overtaken by Seb Priaulx. Having made that, served that penalty, Seb Priaulx, he rejoined in the 22nd position overall, now up to 18th for the Channel Islander. That's Seb Priaulx in car number 15.
Yeah, as we said, that is a very expensive, in terms of points and real estate, lesson to learn for Sebastian. But I'll tell you what, I bet he won't make that mistake again. In the midfield, into the inner loop. The battles continue with the whole gaggle of cars going through now into the outer loop, supremely quick, and also that is slightly backed as well. Willingham, Edge, McClure, Collingwood, all together. The blue number 29 car with the Rain sponsorship. Well, let's hope it doesn't, but you know what I mean. sitting out on in elegant isolation at the moment for Goldcrest Motorsport, and that is now leading that Pro-Am 991 class. So that's the previous version of the car. Put them side by side, you'd see they look very different indeed. The new car, very much wider, a bit longer, also a different treatment to the scoop around the engine at the back of the car, and that rear aerofoil, very different indeed. Meantime, Maxwell Route for Moorespeed-Wright Motorsports with traffic ahead, and that is I think that's the number 97, is it, that they're coming up the pass? That's Craig Conway in the Irish Mike's Racing Porsche. So now it's getting interesting, and there's certainly an opportunity here for Kai van Berlo. He knows there's traffic coming, Jeremy. Used that to his advantage with half an hour, 29 and a half minutes still to go.
Yeah, a couple of drivers started at the back of the field. They were outside the 107% rule. That would be Joe Still in caliber 8 and Craig Conway in caliber 97. But they were both had a chat with the chief steward. They're allowed to start the race, and under the understanding they are respectful of the leaders when they're overtaken. Here there is Kai van Berlo looking to the inside.
Down the inside, classic manoeuvre, just ushering his competitor slightly wide there in the heel of the boot in turn 8. They're now onto the short chute from 9 towards 10, and that insanely quick entry to turn 10 that sets you up for the final right-hander for turn 11. Cracking manoeuvre, set up beautifully from Kai van Berlo for Kenny Moss Motor Racing. In the meantime, it's a spin for Sean McAllister for JDX Racing as he was coming out of turn 9. That's lost him some time. So a new leader then, Jeremy, with still 28 and a half minutes to go at the first race of the weekend for Porsche Carrera Cup North America. That was textbook by Van Berlo.
Yeah, it really was. He got a great run up the hill there out of the toe of the boot, and was able to make a pass there going into the heel at turn 8. Nice clean well alongside on the inside line. Nothing Maxwell Rich could do there but cede that position at the turn-in point, and a brilliant pass there by the young Dutchman Kai van Berlo. So it's he now who leads, and this is going to be enough to move him into the championship lead, if he can stay right then back into the championship lead. I should say, because they've been exchanging positions, he and Seb Prio. But it's looking good now for Kai van Berlo. And look, in the third position is TJ Fischer in caliber 58 for the Topp racing team. That's the Apex Capital car. He's doing a super job there to hang right with Maxwell Route in that battle now for second and third. Yeah,
all of a sudden it's got really interesting. Van Berlo's pulled out a little bit of breathing space. I wonder then if Maxwell Route did take a wee bit too much out of the Michelin tyres, and he's having to pay for that in the middle part of the race.
He certainly had been lapping very consistently up until that last lap. I think he must have made a mistake down at the toe of the boot there, because he was super consistent. I mean, 49.2, 49.3, 49.4, very consistent lap times there. The last lap was slower, of course, because that was he had to his line was compromised when he was overtaken at turn 8. But we'll see now how his lap times are progressing again. He comes across the line now to complete to lap 10. It's a 149.2 again for Maxwell Route. So he's running the same sort of pace. I think he must have made a slight mistake on that previous lap.
So still Efren Castro leading in the Pro-Am category. He's in 12th position at the moment. Change a little bit further down as the number 88 of Hutton McKenna has just gone up a position, up into 10th. He's gone past the 311 Motorsports number 11 Porsche. That's driven by Ryan Gates, the man from Minneapolis. So that was at the bottom end, or on the outskirts of the top 10. So Hunt McKenna now up into 10th. Carras up in front of him. Then Johansson, Thompson, Murray, Keane in 5th position. Then Riley Dickinson, TJ Fischer now in 3rd, of course, for Topp Racing, battling with Maxwell Route. Kai van Berlo getting on for 2 seconds up the road from that battle as they head through the heel of the toe of the boot, excuse me, towards the heel and into the pit lane. That is very, very bad news indeed in these short races. Kurt Swearingen, man from Tennessee in the ACI Motorsports car. Now, Kurt, we expect to see at the business end of whatever class he's racing in, Jeremy, and this is taking him out of contention here.
Yeah, he's had a bit of a. He's not been as quick as he normally is this weekend. He was off the pace of the leaders in that Pro-Am category, but there's some sort of mechanical problem there. I don't know, but that's a shame certainly for Kurt Swearingen, who had a super year last year, won the Gold Cup category in the old GT3 Cup Challenge.
Van Berlo checking out. He's impressed us this year, hasn't he, Kai van Berlo? Yeah. Oh, and a touch down at the heel of the boot, and that has sent around Joe Lombardo, Kelly Moss Road and Race. Now, he was having a decent battle there, which has come to a rather unseemly end. I think that was Richard Edge that he was battling with, Jeremy, and there was a little bit of a touch. Was he trying to go forward?
Yeah, he was. He was trying to overtake Grady Willingham.
Grady Willingham,
yeah. That was the battle. Right behind the two of them was Richard Edge, who was able to sneak through there, but that contact was made. I think Grady probably didn't see him coming there, turned into the corner. Unfortunately for him and for Joe Lombardo, Joe was already there. So there was contact between those two, and that's spun him back. And that car was up in the air, wasn't it? But he was able to keep it going. So hopefully he'll be okay. Another pit stop here.
But this is Willingham, isn't it? That's
yes, it is.
Coming in.
That's
Sorry, I misidentified two white Porsches with the Joe Lombardo car sitting in between them. I was about to say, Joe, very lucky to have got away without damage. The camber on these wheels and tyres with the Michelin tyres, they stick out quite a lot from the bottom of the wheel arch, and although these are closed wheel cars, they have fenders, wheel arches on them. You can, and that's what happened there, roll up front wheel over the back wheel as it's sticking out, and that's what sent Joe Lombardo into the air. I'd have a little guess that that'll be suspension damage, if not possibly just tyre and wheel damage, but it may be suspension damage on the Grady Willingham car there after that side-by-side contact, Jeremy.
Yeah, so indeed so. They were dicing over the, I think it was fourth position. Yeah, it was fourth position in 991 category, the Willingham and Lombardo cars there. So they're going to drop some way down the order. But in the meantime, in 9-1, it's Jeff Myshak who's I thought he'd fallen behind the number 55 car, but he's back ahead. Is now Myshak ahead of Matt Holcomb and pulling away. Actually, the gap now between those two out to almost 4 seconds. So Kurt Hunt in third place in 991 in caliber 24. He's closing in now on Matt Holcomb.
That's the two Goldcrest cars first and second in the 991 category. Hunt and Richard Edge, the two ACI cars in third and fourth in those categories. More side-by-side action down into turn one, and again that's Lappery as they go through there. Nicely done for the Irish Mike's racing car. That's the number 97, staying well out of harm's way. Craig Conway hasn't got the pace, but has been given leave to race, so his head's going to be on a bit of a swivel at the moment. And I think what we've seen so far, Jeremy, that has certainly paid back the faith in him from race control and the race direction. He's clearly still finding his way with the Porsche, but he's done well to make sure he stays out of the way of the leaders.
Yep, completely agree with you there. And that battle for second place, Kai van Berlo is making himself scarce. Just super consistent at the front. His last 4 laps were 49.0, 49.1, 49.1. This time slightly slower, 49.3. He had to contend with a couple of slower cars to get past, but he's extended his lead now to 2.8 seconds over that battle for second place. It's Max Root who still holds it as they head up through the S's, but TJ Fischer hanging right there in the third position in that Top Racing, and she's chasing in the Moorespeed-Wright entry. And then for Team Hardpoint EBM is Riley Dickinson from Texas in kind of the 53 and 4th position. Right with him also is Lee Keane for 311 RS Motorsports. So 5 different teams represented in the top 5 positions.
Castrol leads McAllister for 12th and 13th position, both in the 992 cars, but Efren Castrol leads the Pro-Am category. McAllister in the red, white and yellow car, the number 2, tries to close up on the way into the inner loop, taking a lot of curb. Castrol through the middle and the exit of there. These Porsches do ride the curbs very, very well indeed, and he's prepared to really touring car the middle part there. Really uses the second to last and the last part. I mean, he's barely got a Michelin on the track there, and he certainly hasn't as he comes through the last part. You can use the curbs, but the idea is you're meant to have at least part of a wheel on the track. The edge of the track is the edge of the track, the white line, not the curbs. We'll get into a long discussion about that. McAllister has a look down the inside to try and take that 12th position away from Castrol. Castrol's very happy that Sean McAllister's behind him, because he's effectively tail-end gunner and keeping Alan Metney in the i5 Kelly Moss racing car away from him, because those are the 2 battling for first and second. Meantime, Parker Thompson is having his own battle in the red and white number 8 car, but still this battle for, what, 12th position, Jeremy?
Yeah, you're right, and you just talk about Efren Castrol there. He's got the number 2 car, the Shell car, of Sean McAllister right there, the Shell Tap-Up car in car number 2. But right behind him also now, and between the 2 Pro-Am cars, is Seb Priaulx, making up for that drive-through penalty earlier on, and he now is right on the tail of Sean McAllister and looking to gain what would be 12th position in the 991 Pro category.
Into the inner loop, just coming onto the back of that now. So Castro, McAllister, Priaulx, then the Pro-Am category runners. Second is Metney, then Gertz, Robichaud and Smith in behind that. This has been a good drive back, a steady but consistent drive past. McAllister goes down the inside at 6 and wasn't really there. Got a little bit sideways, tried to going a bit quick and started to get sideways. Hitting Castro rather straightened and back up again, to be honest, and that's let a couple of cars through, including Metney. So McAllister, a late dive to the inside. You can make it there, but you've got to be further up than I think McAllister was. He was already losing the back end of the car. And fair play to Castro there, Jeremy. Gave McAllister enough rope to let him hang himself, kept out the way and didn't get his car damaged. Now he can let young Seb Priaulx go through here. He's not battling him, but again, what he's doing is he's giving him cover from the second place Pro-Am car, the silver 99 iFly machine of Alan Metney.
Yeah, and the smart thing to do for Castro, I think, would be to let Priaulx go through there, and then he can just concentrate on keeping himself ahead of Alan Metney. That's a real big focus for Efren Castrol. He wants that first Pro-Am win of the season. He shouldn't be too worried about Seb Priaulx. He just wants to make sure, however, he doesn't lose any time when Priaulx gets past him. Probably the best place for that to happen would be on the back straight, going towards the inner loop chicane at the end of that back straight, and he can just sort of tuck in behind Priaulx as they head up there. But it's been a super drive from Efren Castrol so far, but he'll see in his mirrors behind the number 15 car who's flashing his lights with Priaulx. He's not getting any closer to Castro. Castro's doing a really, really good job. But the next car in line behind him is Alan Metney, and that is the primary focus for Efren Castrol.
Castro got a really good run out of the uphill S's, but it looked to me as though Priaulx got a better run out of the inner loop, where Castro has actually been very strong. So there might be an opportunity for Priaulx. He's got a reasonable distance to try and catch another position. That is the number 11 car. If he's going to get up to Ryan Gates in the 311 RS Motorsport car, he's got some work to do. 15 minutes to go. Freddie Willingham back into the pit lane. We're into the last third of the race, or thereabouts. So Willingham still with those problems. Berlo's gone through. 4.3 seconds ahead of Maxwell Root and TJ Fischer who are having their own little scrap for second and third. Then Riley Dickinson, then Lee Key for Team Hardpoint and 311 RS, then BGB Motorsports in the shape of Dylan Murray, Parker Thompson for JDX, and MRS GT Racing making up the top 8 for the number 14 car of Eric Johansson, the Swedish driver. And another spin for Sean McAllister. Well, mark this one down in your diary, Jeremy. 2 spins in a single race for Sean McAllister. Proof, if proof were needed, of how hard he's driving. And I think he just lost it on his own coming through turn 10. He ran out of rear grip again. That's not dissimilar to what we saw down at turn 6 when he was trying to pass Efren Castro.
And that's a super fast corner. I mean, when the track, after the track was resurfaced here a few years ago, there's an immense amount of grip through to 10 and 11, and they're very, very quick corners. Just to lose the back end going in there, that's a scary moment. The good news is at 10 as opposed to 11, there's a fair bit of runoff area, which you hardly use any case because it's scrubbed off so much speed so quickly. So he's able to get going again. But again, I think that's an indicator of the fact that some of these drivers are still struggling to get used to the characteristics of this new Michelin rear tyre that's been introduced this weekend for the Watkins Glen weekend.
It's been a very steep learning curve for the teams and the drivers this year, dealing with a brand new car, as we mentioned earlier, making the transition to the 992 body shell, and in fact the competition debut of the 992 Carrera Cup racing car was in this championship, the Porsche Carrera Cup North America, presented by Visit Cayman Islands. Once again, the North American Series deemed important enough to be one of just 5 series around the world of Porsche Carrera Cup that got the new cars, and now with new Michelin tyres for this year and a revised tyre selection, as Jeremy has mentioned, for this race. So the rear tyre is not the same as they've been using in the early part of the year. I think I'm right in saying that it's Carrera Cup North America presented by Visit Cayman Islands. It is Super Cup, of course, which follows Formula 1. Then we've got Deutschland, Benelux and Carrera Cup Asia as well are the 5 championships using the 992 Cup car. If I'm wrong, you can tweet in at IMSA Radio and you can put me right on that. Do I detect there's a little bit of bonnet movement, hood movement on TJ Fischer's Topp racing car? It looked like it was moving around as he was coming into the inner loop last time around. Now that shouldn't be happening, as Kai van Berlo puts a second lap on the number 97. That is Craig Conway, the Floridian for Irish Mike's Racing. Our thoughts going out to Florida and particularly Miami after the awful news of that sinkhole today and the apartment building. Thoughts and prayers for everyone down there involved, including the first responders who are having to deal with that. Under 12 minutes, or on 12 minutes to go across the line. Van Berlo, Root, Fischer, Dickinson, Keane, Murray, Thompson, Johansson, Sebastian Cardozo for Kelly Moss Road Race. The top 10 is that number 88, the Hutton McKenna, Newport Beach, California driver. This traffic is adding a new dimension that some of these drivers won't have seen for a wee while, and that's an opportunity for TJ here, going up to the inner loop, and Riley Dickinson wants a bit as this as well, Jeremy, and Lee Keane in the bright red 992s right there as well. And who spun? Is that Collingwood's car? It's got the Canadian flag on the side. So that has gone around, coming out of the toe of the boot. But he gets it pointing in the right direction quickly enough. Could have been nasty with the leaders not too far away.
Yeah, and Tom Collingwood, he started from the back. He didn't even take part in qualifying. He didn't do much practice either in that number 69 car. He had been doing fairly well given a limited amount of track time. Another couple of notes here. So, but Seb Priaulx a couple of laps ago set a fastest lap of the race, a new record there for a 1:48.866. Meanwhile, Efren Castro, he's managed to eke out a little bit of a lead again over Alan Metni. The previous time past start-finish line, they were almost nose to tail or even side by side, but Castro able to fend off that position, that challenge from Metni, and they're running in 13th and 14th place. So it's kind of a 65 and 99 as that battle for the second place comes down to 11. One more time, he heads towards the stripe.
I think this brief battle from Maxwell Root in second, down to Lee Keane in fifth, not doing themselves any favours at the moment. Dylan Murray in the bright green BGB Motorsport Porsche is trying to get on terms with them with just on 10 minutes to go. This could, at the moment we've got 4 cars battling for 2 steps on the podium, and the bright green Porsche is undoubtedly coming. Another one of the Porsche juniors, Parker Thompson for JDX, is about another 3-4 seconds behind that. But this could literally be either any of those guys that I've mentioned actually picking up the pieces here. They're just equidistant enough at the moment that there's no opportunity to make a meaningful try to pass. And the problem is, Jeremy, these cars, they are so fast, but they are so obviously well matched because they are single manufacturer racing. If you make a dive and it doesn't come off, you're going to lose an awful lot of ground.
Well, yes, you are indeed, and consistency is so important in these cars. And we talked about earlier on. This is a new tyre, so the teams, the drivers in particular, they've got to get used to how those tyres perform over a full stint of a race. And we're seeing, judging by our race leader, Cayman Berlo, was just under 49.0 last time around. They are incredibly consistent. Maxwell Root last time around was a 49.2, but he's got his absolute mirrors completely full of TJ Fischer's car. Joe Still brings number 8 car onto the pit lane. He was running in a 26th position. But this battle is really ongoing in second place, and they're only a couple of tenths of a second slower per lap than our race leader Cayman Berlo.
Definitely seeing the hood, the bonnet of that number 58 Top Racing TJ Fischer car just moving around. It might be as he gets a wee bit closer coming across the start finish line. It's bouncing up and down through the uphill. I was about to say maybe it was just in the aero wash of Maxwell Root's car ahead of him. No, that's moving around rather alarmingly now on the front of that car. There are 2 sort of
down, is it?
No, it's not.
Movable aerodynamic device. What do you think?
Well, it's not doing any favours, Jeremy. It's definitely slowing. I would think that's got to be slowing him down. There are 2 nostrils there that help with the airflow through the major intake underneath the front bumper and then up through that area. And in full doubt, left rear puncture for, that's Eric Johansson in the MRS GT car, the Stars and Stripes car for the Swedish driver, and he's come to a halt out of harm's way in the straight ahead at the inner loop, if that makes any sense, where the tyre chicanes are. Now, he's done well to get it there, and I understand why he wouldn't want to try and limp it all the way back, but I think it might have been better if he'd gone through the outer loop and then into the cut-off that goes from 5 to 9 for the short circuit, because I don't think they can leave that car there. We've got 6 minutes and 45 seconds to go, and this battle for second is breaking up now. There's 2 cars just beginning to pull away, and that's Max Root and TJ Fischer. Dickinson and Key just not able to hold the pace of the 2 ahead. But I'm very impressed with Dylan Murray, Jeremy. The BGB Motorsports, the bright Kermit green Porsche, is nearly onto the back of those 2. He's really closing up on Lee Keane for 5th position, and he must feel with 6 minutes to go he's got half a chance here.
Yeah, he is. He fell back 2.5 seconds from this battle for second place. As you say, he's halved that gap now. He's only 7 or 8 car lengths, or maybe 8 to 10 car lengths behind the car directly ahead of him, which is Lee Keane, and that battle is ongoing. Also, the battle ongoing for Pro-Am as Alan Metley looks to the inside at the toe of the boot. They're side by side coming out of the corner. That was close.
That was a touch. Yeah, I think there was a bit of Michelin rubber. There'll be a little bit of Michelin rubber. There'll be a mark on the right rear quarter panel of Efren Castro's. The good news is it's on the charcoal grey bit, so you know it won't really make that much of a difference as they come through again through the top of the uphill S's. Two completely different lines. Metley trying to come from a long way back and get into the inner loop. I've got to say that Castro is absolutely nailing the inner loop. Sorry, not the inner boot, the inner loop. He's not frightened of those curbs at all, and he's got a car that looks very composed over those yellow and red wide but relatively flat curbs. They are GTs, Grand Touring cars, and he's monstering those at the moment. Now the battle for second down to 6th is coming up on traffic again to the start finish line with the four-way flashes going on Collingwood's car ahead of them. I think that was probably just all arms and elbows when he lost the rear end of the car in the toe of the boot. That was another rear end loss of grip, by the way, when he went around for the man with the Canadian flag on the B pillar. And he's got the battle for second on down, coming to him now in a handy place. Just needs to say one side of the track or the other, just bring it out to the throttle a little bit, and that's exactly what he's done. Smart driving. Now if he lifts again, he should be able to lift the next couple of 3 cars through, and that's very nicely done by Collingwood. Sitting in 7th in the Pro-Am category, 23rd in the race with 4 minutes to go. First race of the Porsche Carrera Cup North America 2021, presented by Visit Cayman Islands here at Watkins Glen. Jeremy Shaw, John Hindhaugh, and this is by no means over. We've now got 1, 2, 3, 4, I think 5 cars, because I do think that Dylan Murray has got a bit of pace there. I think we've got 5 cars for 2 podium spots, second and third. At the moment, there's no doubt about who is going towards the top step of the podium, because Jeremy Kaifan Berlo, since he's took the lead, has driven exceptionally well, and without Sebastian Priaulx to give him any hassle, he's stretched away to nearly 8.5 seconds.
He has, that 20-year-old Dutchman, super consistent again. Last time around was a 149.2, so within a couple of tenths of a second of his fastest lap of the race. He crosses the line again then to complete lap 23. Let's have a look at the lap time. This time it's a 50.2 actually. Looks like he had a bit of a slide up at turn 8. I was looking at that halfway around that lap. But anyway, he's still well in control of this race, and now with 2.5 minutes, just over 2.5 minutes remaining, there'll be white flag, I believe, next time past for Kai Van Berlo for Kelly Moss Road Race, carrying the colours of that children's hospital car from Alabama.
Sebastian Priaulx with the drive through, changing lanes at the start of the race, dropped down to 21st. He's fought his way back up to 9th now. He's fought his way past some 991 cars and some Pro-Am 992s, but he's also had to fight his way past some of the 992 Pro runners as well. He's got the fastest lap of the race, and his next target is 4 seconds ahead of him, and that's Sebastian Carrasco, another Kelly Moss road and race car. It would be extraordinary if he could do that, but at the moment, and at the way he's driving at the moment, he's turning in some fantastic lap times. That is further back down the field. The battle for the podium, second and third place, with 4th sitting right in behind them. Riley Dickinson in the Porsche Works coloured car with the red, white, black and grey shield colours is right in behind them. 1 3/4 minutes to go, so with a lap at about 1:48, it will be white flag this time by for the leader, and a big slide under braking for TJ Fischer, and that's put him under pressure from Riley Dickinson, who tries to go around the outside at turn 9. Thinks better of that. He's going to try the old over and under, I think, and cut back to the inside at turn 10. Oh, big move in defence there by TJ. I think he's losing grip from the rear end, I'll be honest with you. when you lose grip from the rear end of the car, it's not just about acceleration, it's also about braking, and that looked to me as he was coming into the heel of the boot and trying for second, and so the back end broke away. And now 4th, 5th and 6th are as one as well, with Riley Dickinson under pressure from the bright red car of Lee Keane and 311 Motorsport round the outside of turn 1, across the curbs. They're going to try and go side by side up the hill. I don't recommend that, lads. I really don't. And here comes Dylan Murray thinking, oh, hello, yes, you get on with that, lads. Just under 3 miles to go. The final lap of the Porsche Carrera Cup North America, first race from Watkins Glen, presented by Visit Cayman Islands. And the battle for the podium is raging.
This is great stuff. Cayman Berlo well out on his own. Just a quick note, by the way, Seb Priaulx was up into 9th position and right on the tail now of Sebastian Carrozza, so trying to get 8th and minimise the championship points deficit he's going to have to this man, Cayman Berlo, who's well out in front and on this white flag lap. But that battle for second place is still going on. I think you're right. I think Maxwell is struggling a little bit with the tail of that car, but he's doing absolutely everything he possibly can. He and TJ Fischer, they're both still battling for that second position.
Van Berlo now can just take a breath, enjoy the last few corners. You absolutely can't say that of what is going on further down the field, as Max Root has TJ Fischer now right in behind him. It's going to be Van Berlo, and this will be enough to take him into the championship lead, with one more race to come this weekend. The checkered flag is out, and Kelly Moss Road and Race take another race victory. Kai van Berlo will stand on the top step of the podium. The sprint to the checker will see Max Root take second ahead of TJ Fischer, with Riley Dickinson, Lee Keane and Dylan Murray all within a couple of seconds. That was second down to 6th. Parker Thompson for JDX goes through in 7th place. 8th, Sebastian Carrozza. And what a drive back. Well, I say that, Carrozza hasn't come through yet. And there's Castro and Metney. They're coming through.
Battle once again, John, is going down to the last corner. Metney breaks deep and late on the inside there into turn 11. Don't think he's quite close enough, though. Excellent drive.
Yeah, good drive. Castro will be very, very happy for that. Very, very happy indeed. That's his first Pro-Am win for Castro, isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, that he'd won every single race up until then, so finally the streak is at an end.
So,
in the 991 category, Jeff Myshak then a clear leader in the rain car for Goldcrest Motorsports. He was as much as 10 seconds clear of his good buddy and teammate Matt Holcomb, but Jeff Myshak will take the class victory here for the Goldcrest team, and that is Myshak's first win of the season. He started off the season with a 5th, then he was 3rd, 2 second places, and now the victory in 991 Cup for Jeff Myshak.
It's a long way back to the pits, but that will not bother the Dutchman Kai van Berlo. He comes into the pit lane. What a season it has been, Jeremy, so far for Kelly Moss Road and Race. They've got some very good drivers on their roster this year, but they have given them the cars, they've given the machinery to be able to do it, and it will be Kai who gets the VP Racing Fuel checkered flag to take down to the interview area. I think that will put the Dutchman at the head of the Pro Championship, Jeremy.
I concur, John. He came in with a 7-point deficit. Now, though, Kai van Berlo will have 115 points to the 105 of Sebastian Priaulx, who did a really good job to fight his way back to the 8th position. He did get past Sebastian Carrozza on that last lap, so another point gain for Priaulx, another point not lost, let's say, to Cayman Berlo. Third in the points there will remain Parker Thompson back on 74, Riley Dickinson on 72.
Well, that is going to set things up beautifully for the second race of the weekend, which we will have for you live in sound and vision. Van Berlo still in his car, just getting out now in victory circle, and he's been greeted by Bibendum, the Michelin man. Those new tyres doing great. Third win of the year for Kai van Berlo. Getting the photographs taken. So more from Porsche Carrera Cup North America, presented by Visit Cayman Islands. We'll have their second race tomorrow, and you can follow the whole season on IMSA Radio and IMSA TV. With thanks to our production team here at the track at Watkins Glen and in Charlotte, Keith D'Alessandro and the rest of the team done a cracking job. It was Will over in London making sure that we spoke to the world on IMSA Radio. Jeremy Shaw and John Hindle in the IMSA booth. Bye for now.